King Logic makes his return. Now, Logic is, of course, a promising MC from Maryland who, of course, came out with mixtape after mixtape of impressive, versatile spitting that really got him a name. Then he hit the mainstream with an album called Everybody, which was basically about his black and white lifestyle, heritage, and history, which kind of missed the mark of mentioning everybody. He just mentions particular groups, single mothers, Hispanics, just not everybody, as it says. It's kind of a trick album, like kind of a misleading album. But he came out with this album today. Well, it's a mixtape. It's Bobby Tarantino. It's a sequel to his original mixtape, Bobby Tarantino, and it is fucking impressive. It still have the logic problems, like the logical errors and problems that haunt his artwork and art that been throughout his career, but it's pretty excellent, I have to say. Now, one of the things I'm utterly impressed about this album is Logic cut the trim in fat. I mean, this album starts out with a skit. It's a Rick and Marty skit where they're talking about how the difference is between mixtape Logic and album Logic, and everybody wants him to get off the whole everybody SJW theme, tinged rap that really got him to fame, and want him to go back to just his street spitter stuff, which I thought was very excellent. But then you get to a song like Overnight, which is one of the worst songs off this whole mixtape and stuff like that. I really wish he started out with a song like Warm It Up. You know, Warm It Up has its problems, like it start out with a verse that's by AZ, but it's credited to Nas. I guess because it's Nas' song, he gets the credit. Like, you know, life's a bitch. But he has a lot of quotables on here. Like, he says he's passing Mary Jane like he's in a train with Peter Parker. I thought that was excellent. He has a quote where he said he needs to be something with the FBI because he's always undercovers. And then he does this whole Sex in the City reference I thought was pretty cool. I mean, overall, the song is flames. And he does this cool little diss to Blue Lives Matter where he says he comes up in blueface, which kind of remind me of Brockhampton. That's another thing. And he says blue isn't a race, which I thought was pretty cool. But another thing I would like to criticize about this album is it seems, or at least this track, is it seems that Logic took an idea from Kanye West as self-crediting himself as a feature with one of his nicknames. He's the young Sinatra as the feature, which, you know, Kanye West did it first with God, which he featured himself as God. But overall, this track was excellent. Or the second track could have been the song What's Up featuring Big Sean, where Big Sean says this hilarious line that I thought was pretty amazing. Big Sean says this thing like, I stick to the code like finish moves. I thought that was a pretty impressive line. And then Logic just spits flame on this track. He has this Uncle Phil line, and then he says he only gets Fresh Prince, which I thought was pretty cool, like a reference to money. Then he has this Jaden Smith line, which is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's son, where he says that he's the sire, like Jaden fool. I thought that was a pretty impressive line. He also have this reference where he says that he told Def Jam that he says he wants 20 mil, and they said yes. Which kind of remind me of the Mercy line where Kanye West says, I walked into Def Jam and said, give me 50 million or I'ma quit. Which, you know, another reference to like Kanye. Like, this album kind of reminds me of Kanye a lot. Speaking of reminding me, on the song State of Emergency, he has this line where he says he made 30 million, which remind me of Kendrick Lamar's, how he had a reference to 30 million on his song The Heart Part 4. And also he has this line that remind me of Lil Wayne, Damn I'm Cold, where he says that you're too weak, like 2 times 7, which remind me of Lil Wayne's line that says, "You're too weak, like 14 days." But overall, a little difference. It just reminded me of that fucking line. Oh yes, and the song "The Wizard of Oz" kind of remind me of Travis Scott with the auto tune, and he even does the yeah yeah. He also do a reference to paying $10 million to the government in taxes. I'm like, whoa. Oh yes, on the song Midnight, Logic has this reference to making hits like Barry Bond, and I'm like, didn't Barry Bond use steroids? Isn't the rap equivalent to steroids like a ghostwriter? Is Logic trying to tell us something? And also, again, Kanye West and Lil Wayne, they had a song called Barry Bonds, which both of them I referenced, maybe Logic taking from. I just like to point that out. But I don't mean to bag on him that much because he has this line that says, "I'm not kidding," like a vasectomy, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, that was funny. But then he had this lame line where he says he's black and white like a piano. I'm like, Logic, come on. You couldn't come up with anything better. Indica Badu, which is a like pun on Erica Badu, I thought was pretty funny. I thought the psychedelic effects on his vocals on the hook was so like freaking awesome. Yuck. It kind of reminds me of the song by 2 Chainz where he had a song called Yuck, and even in the beginning of the album, it says that Southern trap stuff. So yeah, just kind of remind me of that. Also, on the song Luck, he's sneak dissing Joyner Lucas, which I thought was pretty impressive. I'm like, yeah, man. And he does all these references to Joyner Lucas looking in the mirror, wishing that he could be him. And he answers his hate with success. I thought that was a pretty cool reference. Also, I think Elton John leaves a message on his phone, which I thought that was pretty cool. Like, oh, hey, Logic, I hear you just won Grammy. Yeah, 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 blah, 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 stuff like that. And on the song Boom Trap, which I thought maybe be a play on the whole idea that he does boom bap and southern music on this song, I think it's a pretty cool song. Except it does have some cringy verses, like he says he gets the pussy crucified. I'm like, come on, man. And also he has this reference to Do or Die, which is a reference to the West Coast. And he says he don't need to drink syrup because he has his friends to lean on, which I thought that was an impressive little pun. On the third track, he says that he don't want to flex, but then he flexed. I'm like, man, you're like Ray Shrimmer when it came up to no flexing, like a song not about bragging, but you're bragging throughout the whole damn song. And the song Overnight in the last 2 tracks, Overnight is pretty much trash. Everybody, every day, I meant was pretty much trash also. And 44 bars is nice. It just reminds me too much of Kendrick Lamar's DNA with a little bit of Cardi B, because when he does that little shout out to his name, I thought that reminded me of Cardi B, Bardiel, Cardi, stuff like that. Also, when he does the A flow, it reminds me of Kendrick Lamar's Humble, just a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, wow. Also, he does a reference to selling more than Harry Styles and Katy Perry. Yeah, this is confirmed. He did. But he sold more in a year where hip-hop was the best-selling genre for the first time ever, I think. So, yeah, that's pretty much, kind of a lackluster brag. But, hey, what can I say? This mixtape is definitely better than his last album, Everybody. He trimmed down the fat, but he's not really good at like bragging and stuff like that all throughout this album. And he's kind of hypocritical where he says he's not going to do one thing, but he does it. And it kind of gets annoying at points. That's all I have to say about this little album. I mean, hey, it's pretty good, it's pretty great, but not his best. I'm gonna give it I would say at least a 5. This is not my type of stuff. I can't wait until the rap reviewer reviews this. I want to see what he gives it. But hey, that's all I have to say about the album. Please like, subscribe, share, and I'm out, guys.